Hi, boys and girls. This is called the Pony Express delivering mail on horseback in the Old West. I'm going to go ahead and make a connection because I love getting mail. I love opening up the mailbox and seeing my name on a letter. On April 3rd, 1860, a writer named Johnny Fry set out on horseback from St. Joseph, Missouri, carrying a bag of mail. He headed west on the first stretch of a 2,000-mile route across the continent. The mail arrived in California in 9 days and 23 hours. This was the first ride of the Pony Express. The current president of the National Pony Express Association, Les Bennington, compared the beginning of the legendary Pony Express to a more recent advance in communication. The Pony Express was the email of 1860 and 1861, he said. So comparing the Pony Express to email, that seems like a metaphor. So he's comparing the Pony Express to email. Rather than taking weeks or months as with previous mail methods, the Pony Express took only 10 days. I'm going to write a question. How would it be faster for a route to take 10 days? Maybe a better way to phrase that question would have been, why would this be the better way to send mail? Because 10 days seems like an awfully long time for Ms. Barrick. Before 1860, mail from the eastern United States sent to the West Coast traveled by stagecoach on the Butterfield Overland Mail Trail. Oh, okay, so this is the one that it replaced. So let's see how long this one took. The trail was 2,812 miles long and passed through the present-day states of Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California before ending in San Francisco. Delivery took around 3 weeks. Wow, okay, so 10 days is much better than 3 weeks. Mail was also carried by ship down the eastern seaboard over the Isthmus of Panama, a narrow strip of land that links North and South America. From there, it continued on its journey by train and then up the west coast of Central America to Mexico and California by boat. That route took an even longer time. That seems like it would take a long time to go all the way from here down here and all the way back up to California. That would take probably 2 or 3 months, so the mail was old, and the news was old by the time it got there, Bennington said. I'm going to ask the question, how would it feel to get news 3 months late? So think about the recent tornado that hit Nashville and only being able to hear about that in 3 months. Riding the Pony Express. The Pony Express had 153 stations along its route. Around 80 riders and between 400 to 500 horses carried mail from the settled Midwest to the new state of California, which had been growing rapidly since the gold rush of 1849. The western end of the Pony Express was the B.F. Hastings Building in Sacramento. I'm going to ask the question, why were there more horses than men? It's an interesting number to me that there's 400 horses and only 80 riders. Riders for the Pony Express carried the mail in saddlebags along the trail for about 75 to 100 miles. Then they transferred the mail to another rider at a home station. Home stations could vary from a nice hotel to a simple rest stop, such as a dugout near a creek. The fancier home stations were usually located along the eastern route, where there were established cities. Along their section of trail, riders would stop every 10 to 15 miles. They would then hop onto a fresh horse at the 4 to 6 relay stations on the stretch of the route. Jackie Lewin is the co-author of On the Winds of Destiny, a biographical look at Pony Express riders. She said most of the riders were small, lightweight men around 20 years old. The most popular rider associated with the mail company is William Frederick Buffalo Bill Cody, who later became known for his Wild West stage show. So this seems like I'm going to put a connection that Buffalo Bill sounds like a cowboy. Pony Express riders rode over rugged territory that included high passes on the Sierra Nevada mountains. However, Lewin believes the most difficult part of the trail was its desert regions. I'm going to circle this word rugged. I'm not really familiar with that word, but Pony Express riders rode over rugged territory that included high passes and difficult part, desert. That seems like a negative word. So rugged, maybe really hard territory to get across. I would say the hardest section would be the Utah territory, which would be today's states of Utah and Nevada, because it was pretty isolated and has extreme temperatures, she said. That's the area where the Paiute Indians attacked the line. Ooh, I'm going to ask the question, why did Indians attack the mail? That seems like an interesting thing to do, but I'm wondering if this is maybe a place where I could also make a connection to our reading about how white people had been moving in on the land that the Indians had been promised. Let's see. Riders from the Pony Express had to deal with everything from tornadoes to bison stampedes. However, the greatest difficulty for the mail carriers occurred in May of 1860 with the eruption of the Pyramid Lake War. A flood of white settlers seeking silver in Nevada brought the newcomers into conflict with the region's native inhabitants. Oh my goodness, this is exactly what we're reading in English. So I'm going to put a connection out to the side. I realize that this is a little bit skinnier paper. So, and say, I know white settlers took native lands from built in a day. That's the story we're reading. Built in a day. Sorry guys. That's the story we're reading right now. The Paiute Indian tribe quickly realized the new settlers would permanently destroy their way of life. They began attacking Pony Express stations, causing the company to suspend operations from Carson City, Nevada to Salt Lake City, Utah for a month. The company had to rebuild stations and restock them, Lewin said. It cost about $75,000. That's a lot of money now, and especially then. It really did hurt the company. According to Bennington, the station keepers of the Pony Express, not its riders, were most at risk of being attacked by the Paiute. We had quite a few station keepers killed, he said. We know one rider was killed by Indians. Overall, we didn't lose many riders that were actually carrying the mail. There were some other ones that were killed just defending the stations. Yet it wasn't conflict with Native Americans that caused the end of the Pony Express just 18 months after it first began delivering mail. Rather, it was a technological development, the construction of telegraph lines that ended up connecting the West to the rest of the nation. Telegraph lines. I'm going to circle that word, but I know those word parts. So tele, like telephone, television, and graph means to write. I know, like a biography, or when I write a graph in math class. So graph means to write. So okay, so maybe this is a machine that lets me write messages to a different place. Legacy of the Pony Express. Even though the Pony Express had a relatively short run, it has secured a prominent position in the history of the American West. I'm going to circle prominent. That sounds like a positive word because this author seems to really like the Pony Express. Bennington's organization has conducted a re-ride over the Pony Express Trail every year since 1980. Bennington said he remains in awe of the Pony Express riders. It was no small undertaking when you start to look back and see what these people had, he said. I mean, there's no place colder than on the back of a horse when it's brutally cold. You gotta keep in mind they didn't have down-filled jackets or hats made for snowy conditions. I'm gonna ask the question, why would someone want to be a writer then? If those are the conditions, if it's super cold, they don't have the right clothes, it's a long time on a horse, I don't know if I'd want to be a writer. Fast facts: Pony Express National Historic Trail. Today, most of the trail used by the Pony Express has been overtaken by development. Nonetheless, the route is a National Historic Trail. A driving map showing the entire trail is available from the National Park Service. The NPS is an agency of the U.S. government that manages national monuments and parks. Horsey Express. The Pony Express didn't actually use ponies. Instead, it used regular horses that were incredibly reliable, fast, and tough. They galloped at speeds between 10 and 25 miles per hour. I'm sure that feels really fast on a horse, but that is very slow in a car. That is like how fast you have to go in front of McMurray when the crossing guard is there. Pony Express GPS. The National Pony Express Association conducts rides of the trail every year. Spectators can follow the rides with GPS. Oh, I've seen spectators before. Those are people who watch a game. We talked about those. So spectators, like a spectacle, somebody who can be watched. All right.